Hello and welcome to episode number 1 of Impact School's podcast. My name is Tickner and I'm your host. And if you've listened to Impact School in the past, then you may be thinking, Lauren, this is not episode number 1. At the time of uploading this, we just uploaded episode number 100. But long story short, and I will be doing an episode about this in the future, but our podcast got hacked and over 100 episodes were deleted, gone, vanished into nowhere. And so I decided with my team, given that we have to start over from scratch, episode number 1 should be whereby we discuss what I would do if I was starting all over again. If I had nothing, if I had no clients, no social media audience, nothing but my knowledge, then what would I do knowing everything that I know now? And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you in this episode today. There is an awful lot of mistakes that I have made along the way, having scaled a multiple 6-figure business in the B2C space. So that was in the fitness industry, and now a multiple 7-figure business in the B2B space, whereby we help people who help people. So if you're somebody who has a business or wants a business, or you are a service provider that focuses on serving other people, for example, when you give them coaching or you give them training, or you're an agency or you do done for you services, then that's who we help, right? And so with that said, what I'm about to go through is really going to help service providers. And if you're in the e-com industry, again, I went down that rabbit hole, made a mistake, lost thousands and thousands and thousands because I didn't stick to one thing. And so I really think that if I was starting again right now, I would be able to scale to multiple 7 figures, so multi-millions, in under a year. And I fully back myself with that. And so if I lost everything right now, or content, clients, everything, what would I do to get started again? Well, I'm gonna go through all of that. So the first thing is gonna be the basics, okay? So the basic fundamentals, ultimately, if you're pausing taking action right now because you're not perfect, well, let me tell you, perfectionism is just procrastination packaged up all fancy. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. And if that's an insightful comment to you and you feel like you are a bit of a perfectionist, I used to be too. I mean, in school, all of my pens and everything was color-coded in my studying. So let me tell you, you can get over it. Messy action always wins. Send me a message on Instagram just saying, hey, I'm a perfectionist, like any tips, we can talk about that, right? I want to stay focused here because that's how you're going to get the most effective results. And if you're not taking notes, these 4 to 5 stages that I'm about to go through are going to be very, very insightful. So I'd grab a Google document or some pen and paper right now. So yeah, I mean, the most fundamental things that I would do if I was starting over again and lost all my clients and everything, but had the experience of scaling a multiple 6-figure business and a multiple 7-figure business at this point, is very, very simple. And I think the fact that it's so simple is where so many people get confused. And I did this massively. I overcomplicate everything, okay? So I would pick one outcome that I can take people to. And then I would pick one group of people who I can guide towards that outcome. Now, the reason why these two things are very important, and let's use a fitness example here, is because let's say you help people lose weight. I always see people say, oh, I can help everybody. Yes, it's great that you can help everybody. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. You can have everything you want in life, but you just can't have it all at once. You know, if you want to eat cake all day every day, for sure you can do that, but you can't also maintain a 6-pack if you're going way above your calorie threshold. But let's not get into that here. Here's my example. If you help people lose fat, that's great, that's brilliant, but the way that you position and the way that you teach things is very, very different. So if I was to say, I'm gonna help you get rid of that beer belly so that your wife wants to cuddle with you again, versus I'm gonna help you get shredded abs so that you can have a six-pack on the beach. That's talking to two very, very different people. The first is probably a dad who has a bit of a dad bod, got a bit lazy because he's married. Over time, you know, he doesn't have to, he's not courting his gal anymore. The other guy is a guy that wants to be like a Gymshark model, right? He wants to look sexy so that he can pick up girls, or, you know, he's probably younger. And so it's very different the way that you speak to different people and the way that you approach your coaching. You know, those guys might want more hardcore stuff. The men probably, you know, they don't have as much time because they have kids, for example. And so it's absolutely critical to remember you need to pick one outcome and one group of people. I can't hammer home how important that outcome is. So another example, in maybe a relationship industry, for example, it could be that you help people find long-lasting love. That's a very different outcome to helping somebody pick up girls in a bar. They are two totally different industries, and you're going to be teaching two totally different things. And so from there, once you've figured out the outcome, what you can do, and this is what I would do if I was starting out again, I would use my existing knowledge and experience. I wouldn't be a perfectionist. I would pick one outcome like I did when I was in fitness, right? I would then realize this is my now decision. It's not my forever decision. Which means that you're going to be able to zig and zag exactly as I did. And it's just powerful because at that point you can start getting feedback from the market. And look, there are a few other, you know, basic, simple things that I would do. And so that's gonna come over the next sort of 10 episodes of this podcast, I think, because we're gonna do these different series. And so I'm sorry if I just made your Siri go on. Sorry. But yeah, so make sure you've hit subscribe. But there is just so much that I would have done before I even thought about. Okay, let me tell you what I wouldn't do, okay? I wrote a list here because I needed to remember all of them, and there are other things, and I know I'll be kicking myself after I record this, but I'll put that all in the show notes, the description, on the page, whatever. So the first thing that I would not do is I would not build a website, right? I would absolutely not spend time building a website. And we'll talk about that in a bit, right? When we move towards marketing. I would also not focus on branding and logos and getting a huge following on social media. I mean, I have a client, Charmaine. She did 16.5K. In fact, she got 3 new clients, so she's charging like 1.5K. So 16.5 plus 4.5, what is that? 21 grand. If my math sucks, I'm sorry, I don't care, because guess what? There's calculators these days and Google. But basically, she started with us 6 weeks ago, and she has a following of around 500, and she generated 21 grand. That's US dollars. So you don't need a following. I'm so annoyed that I wasted so much time on social media when I could have focused on much, much higher leverage tasks. It's really sad. Vlogging, nope, I would not have done all that. I have so many vlogs on YouTube. I do love making them, but I spend hours editing. I don't edit anymore. I just film. I do exactly what I would have done now. I send it over to someone. Oh my gosh, so much time wasted. I was trying to be an influencer. Nah, no. Nuh-uh. I coach a lot of them. A lot of them are broke. So anyway, so I would also not sell courses. I would not sell ebooks. I would not create all these freebies. I would also not launch a podcast right away. Post to social media so much, okay? I would not do all of that stuff, and I'm crossing them off because I want to get through everything here. I'm going to talk about what I would do instead. I mean, firstly, I would sell in the DMs, but hey, sorry, no, I wouldn't sell in the DMs. I would get them on calls. But yeah, let's talk about that in a second. I mean, I think for now, it's really important to talk about the self, the entrepreneur, because this is something many, many people don't think about. And I saw my coaching business as a bit of side cash for so long. I mean, I just saw it as like, oh, cool, like it's a bit of money, you know, I'm helping these people, but cool, you know, it's nothing too serious. Just send some documents and take some calls and send some voice notes, and yeah, like that's everything. But you need to see it as a business, and you need to see yourself as an entrepreneur who owns a business, because the ultimate power of having your own business is so that you can create freedom and so that you can enjoy it. But many people just create a job for themselves, which I think is really sad, because they become a slave to their business. And there are certain sticking points. So people get stuck sort of, you know, around like 4K per month, and then just before like 10K per month, or they get to 4K and then they go up to like 20, and then they go down to a certain amount, and then up and down. And it's kind of this yo-yo, and it's this exhaustion between fulfilling on what you're selling. So you try to get loads of clients, you do a big launch, and then you have all these clients, so you need to serve them, so then you're bringing in no new revenue. And greedy business coaches teach how to do these big launches, because guess what? It gets them amazing testimonials. If you're teaching people how to launch something, of course, you're gonna get testimonials whereby there's more revenue coming in. And you may be thinking for a second, hey Lauren, don't you have a program called Launchpad? And yes, we do, because we teach people who are brand new how to launch an impact offer and get their first 5 to 10 clients. But we don't teach them to do this big crazy launch. We teach them to launch the first time, right? Because you know, marketers are event throwers, and so if you can throw an event and build some hype around something, then you absolutely should. But if you're launching, closing, again, this was a mistake I made, which should have been in the marketing section, but it's come up now because, you know, we're free flowing, and I don't want to be following scripts. I'm just not about that life. I was kicked out of my drama lessons when I was like 14 because I was laughing too much and I just couldn't take it seriously, so it's not for me. But launch, close. Imagine if you were having a heart attack and your doctor was like, no, sorry, I'm closed for enrollment right now. I just think it's pretty sad, because there are so many people who don't get the help they need if you're closed. But anyway, back to what I was saying about Launchpad. We teach people how to launch, and then after that, it's an evergreen, consistent inflow of clients. And that means it's scalable and it's predictable, and you can predict how much money you're gonna make every month when you start running ads, and when you just know your numbers. You know, knowing your numbers is key. And so, you know, as I said, I'm gonna break this down into what I'd sell, how I'd market and sell it, and how I'd fulfill on what I sold. But before all that, yeah, it's just how to become a well-rounded entrepreneur. And there are a few important things that I think people don't think about. And I see this especially in the fitness industry. We serve all niches, by the way, because again, as I said, we focus on it's not about the demographic. It's about the outcome that you take people to, and it's about who those people are. So for us, it's that we help people who help people. We don't need to focus just on fitness trainers, for sure, like I did in the past. Again, we've scaled to a level now where we can fulfill on all different niches and industries. But what I'm saying is that something I see in the fitness industry is that if only these people took their business as seriously as they took their fitness, oh my goodness me, it would be incredible. They'd be such an incredible entrepreneur, because health is critical when it comes to entrepreneurship and when it comes to being a business owner. And so there are a few important things. It's like, you know, you need to be on top of your health. You need to be on top of your energy management. If you're around negative people who are constantly talking just saying negative things, that's going to come off on you. And that's a huge problem. If you're not getting enough sleep or enough of a high quality level of sleep, then again, you're going to have a low energy going into your work. You're going to be resentful. If you don't enjoy what you do, again, you've bought yourself a job, you hate it, what's the point? That should never be the case. And if that ever is the case, reach out to me, because I've seen this happen so many times now, and I know exactly what you need to do. And again, I could do an episode on that in the future. You just need to let me know. Share it on your social media. Let me know what you want to see, and we can make that happen. I'm at Lauren Tickner across any social media. LaurenTickner. Most active, well, again, things might change, so you know, but Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, everything. Okay, so then another thing is self-discipline. So I was so weak, you know, when I was starting out. Something wouldn't work and I would jump to the next thing. I would hire an agency and I would think, oh, I need to get a new ebook out. I need to have a new product. I need a new website. I always looked at the problem as the problem. I didn't ever look at the problem as a symptom of a problem, and problems and a lack of result are usually a symptom of something that's underlying. And this is a huge problem in the medical industry as well. People go to the doctor and they get pills for everything. I do not do that, and I think that's something that I am glad that I don't do, because, you know, if it's a real acute problem that needs fixed, you know, yeah, get your medicine, whatever. But in a business, you need to think about what is causing this. So something that I didn't used to do is I used to just think, okay, this is the problem. Now what I do is, if I have a problem, let's say we aren't making enough sales, instead of thinking, okay, we need to now put a mask over that and amp something up and do some crazy launch and bring out some new products, instead of that, the way that I see things is, okay, we aren't making any sales, and then it kind of becomes like this tree diagram. Okay, so it's like sales at the top, and then it's like, okay, why are we not making enough sales? And then you have your question there, and beneath that it's like, how can we generate more leads? That's another question. And then another question would lead off of that, being like, what would my competitor do if they wanted to generate more leads? Okay, then you go back up the diagram to the very top question, and it's like, okay, well, it's a scenario. It's like, why are we not making enough sales? Another example could be, what does the quality of our leads look like, right? And then from that, you ask a question like, okay, why is the quality of our leads so low? And then you get multiple different solutions, and then you can come at things from all different angles, and it's just a different way of thinking. And so it's that if I was starting over from scratch, I would come into everything with this mindset. I would come in with a problem solver mindset and seeing myself as a true well-rounded entrepreneur. And so other things that come with that is that tracking your numbers is key. Again, this is a business. It's not just some side cash. Even our brand new clients in Launchpad, we get them to track their numbers every single day. We get them to track if they're doing a daily discipline, like a daily cold shower or going to the gym or something that gets them to increase their mental toughness. Because people, when they're new, are weak. I'm telling you, even if they're strong as hell in their sport, they're weak. And I was too, and that's why I'm saying that, okay? So, and even if they're strong in like relationships and stuff, when business, I see people crumble. Everyone has their weakness, and it's like a muscle. It can get trained. And if I'm using a lot of fitness analogies again, I'm sorry. It's just because that's my background, but we don't do that so much in our coaching. With our coaching, we have specialized coaches in different fields to support you. But yeah, so and I know this is a lot, by the way, and I'm about to get into sort of like, okay, the offer, the marketing, the sales, the team, and such. And we do actually have a 5-day free course that you can get access to at impactschoolmba.com. I'll leave a link to it too. So impact, IMPACTSCHOOLMBA.com. It's free. It's not an accredited MBA. I dropped out of the UK's #1 business degree, by the way, and it's everything that I wish they would have taught me. That would have been much more relevant and useful for someone who's actually building their own business. But yes, I left because none of my lecturers have ever had their own business, and so it's all just stuff from experience. So impactschoolmba.com. But yeah, so as I mentioned, I would pick one outcome, one group of people, and take them to that. So the offer, I would focus. I would have one offer and realize that you can do more in the future. It's just right now, this is your now decision, not your forever decision. You can build on top of things. And so many people, and myself included, want courses because it sounds like a passive income. or they think if they have an agency, the best way to scale, again, is going to be some type of info product. But that's not the case at all. An impact offer is gonna allow you to charge the same price, or probably more than one-on-one coaching, in far less time. So we see that our clients are able to charge 6 times more than if they were selling a course in that field. And sometimes, honestly, even more. It just kind of depends upon the niche. And the reason being is because there's really 4 different things that are fused together. And the cool thing is that, you know, I used to see this as 3 different things that were fused together, but now I see it as a 4th. And again, things develop and get better over time. If I was starting out, again, rather than totally scrapping everything and starting over from scratch, like I did so many times with different courses, I would have focused on Kaizen, which is a Japanese word for continuous improvement. They use it in manufacturing over there. And so literally, it pains my soul how much time I wasted on like launching all these different offers. I just wish that I'd known about the impact offer when I was trying to do all these courses, okay? And it's kind of weird because like I did it when I was doing fitness training. I just didn't think I could transit. I don't know, it's very strange. Just all these things you don't think, and that's why I'm so grateful that I can share this with you. So essentially, you pick an outcome and you map out the A to B, the online, and you turn that into an online course. However, you don't just sell it as an online course, because having sold so many online courses in the past, you know, thousands and thousands, I identified that people really only on average, and I've seen this and I've asked my friends, on average complete like 30%. And that's a huge problem to me, because I don't know about you, but like making money is cool, but if you're not changing people's lives and they're not actually getting the result, it feels kind of like icky. That's just me anyway, guys. Other people might be different, but so I realized that I need to give these people way more support. So then essentially what I identified is what we call the impact offer. And it's the A to B, which is the course, coupled with coaching, which guides your people along the course, and then consulting and personalized action plans, which are specific and tailored to that individual. And so that's essentially the consulting element. And then for the consistent and unlimited support, then you can do that all in the group. So whether that's a group on Voxer, Slack, Facebook, whatever you want. So the attraction, that's you, that needs to be in your marketing. But then the fulfillment, that doesn't need to be you necessarily. For sure, touch points are cool. You'll be in the entire course, but it doesn't need to all be you. And if it is, that's a huge problem, because again, you're trading time for money and it's not scalable. Another thing that I would do when it comes to my offers is that I would make offers way more frequently, and I would charge higher ticket. I wouldn't get stuck on selling these courses, doing these launches. It's exhausting. It's really, and it sounds amazing, you know, oh, I just sold a course for $500, like cha-ching in the bank, or oh, $1,000 or $2,000. But when you have a high ticket impact offer, then you're really able to change people's lives, and you can scale it, building a team, hiring people, and you can hire people who are experts in different fields. So in my company, I have, at Impact School, we have different coaches and different mentors who have different experience, so they can serve the client better. Some people, you know, they're better in the area way better than me. And that's the power of scaling, because then you have the money to hire those people and get your clients even better results, so you can become the industry leader. So I wish I'd learned as much about business as I learned about my field. I really wish I had. But let's talk about marketing, what I would do differently. So I did touch upon it earlier, but I used to focus so much on my brand, my personal brand, building websites. I spent hours on websites, but rather than that, I would have focused on demand marketing. So rather than brand marketing, I would have focused on demand marketing. And rather than just waiting for people to come to me thanks to this brand I'm building, and so that would have been inbound marketing, I would have focused on outbound marketing, and I would have been proactive, and I would have used permission-based relationship marketing, which is a term that I've come up with because you don't just want to try cold call people. It's not effective when you're doing outbound marketing. And I tried that actually in a job that I was in when I was working in influencer marketing for a short period of time. And it's just, you know, it's ineffective to the level where you need it to be when you're starting out. as you scale, for sure, do it. Like, absolutely, when you're hitting multiple 6 figures a month, go for it. But starting out, so you need to make sure that the people that you're reaching out to, you actually have their permission. And so that could be people that follow you, that could be people that are asking questions about your field, that could be people who, there's so many different ways to gather someone's permission. And then it's permission-based relationship marketing as well, because in the conversation, you need to gain their permission and approval to move on to the next element of the conversation, rather than just like, okay, let's get on a call and let's see if I'm a good coach for you. No, build a relationship with them. You don't pitch them. Don't pitch them in your posts. Don't pitch them in your DMs. It's cringy. Like, I think I was really abrupt with it for a short period of time. And then rather than, honestly can't quite remember now, but I think that, because this is so like ingrained in my soul now, that, yeah, I would post like, send me a DM if you want coaching. And then I would get them to email me rather than just like using the DMs to get a call booked. And that was a huge problem. So yeah, do outbound and then build teams around that. And then another problem was that I would always hire agencies. It's much better to hire a coach and then learn and then outsource, ideally to that same coach. And from there, then what you can do is learn how to hire in-house, because that same coach can teach you everything you need. So you're essentially like renting them until you have enough revenue to be able to bring it all in-house. And this is super effective. And so yeah, I used to wait for clients to come to me. That was not great. Outbound is so much better. I had a dependence on social media, and I was really focused on building my email list. And email open rates are so low now. And it's good to build an email list. Don't get me wrong, you can take the email files, you can upload that to Facebook and run retargeting ads. But what I would do if I was starting out now is I would lead with building a messenger list and then get email on the back end. Because if you lead with a messenger list, guess what? That means people are coming into your messenger. And guess what that is? Direct messages. That is direct response. So direct response is a type of marketing, literally where you get a direct response from your people. So if they're not interested, all right, see you later. If they are, then you're able to generate feedback as and when you need it. You're able to generate sales as and when you need it. If you're having a conversation with somebody, then you are literally hearing from them right there. And so that's why I'd build a messenger list. Then on the back end, yeah, you can have your emails, your ads in the future. But email list is not as powerful as people say it to be, okay? Yeah, you own your email list, but you know, I owned all my podcast episodes and it's still all taken down and destroyed. And you know, I think people, there's so many businesses in the email marketing industry that talk about grow your email list. So people have this ingrained belief, but the world is changing. You know, our messenger open rate is like 97%, whereas our email's like relatively high and it's like 30. But that's high. And then the click-through rate is like 2%. No, it's like, I don't even know it's very low. It's like under 5 in most emails. And then out of like everyone it gets sent to. And then the click-through rate on Messenger is, well, we've seen it up to like 60%. And so it's on average, I think, around 30, which is higher, well, pretty much higher than the open rate of the email. It's crazy. And so yeah, Messenger is allowing you to get that direct response. So if you have a new offer, if you send out a message to your list on Messenger and no one responds, then okay, well, cool. You didn't need to go ahead and build out that entire offer. A big mistake people make is they want to build this whole program before launching it. No, launch it, then build it. So much more effective. And so ultimately, this kind of brings me on to sales, right? Because you want to use Messenger for the most part to get people booked on a call. Because when you're selling an impact offer and high ticket, you need them on a call. And so many people will, and I used to hate calls. And so I used to try selling Messenger or drive them all to email or just send them a link to a landing page. And it's just such an ineffective way of doing things, because once you've sent the link, what's happening? For sure, you can follow up, but people will see the price, they'll change their mind, they'll get cold, they'll start comparing you and other people's prices. And that's the last thing that you want to do. Because I've learned and this is something that I never knew, is that when you compete on price, it's just a race to the bottom. Some other thing will come along and this person will go to that thing. When you buy cheap, you buy twice. And guess what? Because when people pay, they pay attention. And so that's why, another reason why selling higher ticket is better. And so I used to hate taking calls. Even my friends at school used to like kind of laugh because I would never like answer the phone. I would just WhatsApp them. But the call allows you to weed people out. Firstly, it allows you to really hear more clearly and more deeply what people want. And one mistake is that I used to get really annoyed if I didn't make the sale. I would be really hard on myself. And through a lot of personal development, which is very important as an entrepreneur, I've now realized that a sales call can literally be used as a learning experience for what your people need. And so you're able to just have a conversation, and when you write down everything that they're struggling with, everything that they're looking for, you can even ask, oh, so if there were a program out there, what specifically would you be looking for? And if you ask that to like the first 20 people you take calls with, the amount of feedback that you have is crazy. And again, you don't need to do your calls forever. I now have a team, and our clients are able to hire a sales closer when they get to a certain level, because we know that the people who are coached by us, their businesses are solid. We know what they're selling, like we're able to sell it. Because again, it's like people will try and like think, oh, well, I need to hire a sales coach because my sales aren't where they want to be. But it's like, no, that is a symptom of your problem, that your offer sucks, or that your marketing sucks, or whatever. Like there's so many things that it could be. Again, go back to the way of thinking that I spoke about. And then when you have a system for sales, you're confident with it, right? So it's like you're driving Messenger into sales. This is exactly what I would do. And I would just focus on scaling that. Scaling my organic way before I even start thinking ads. I hired so many ads agencies. I think overall I've spent well over 100 grand. That doesn't include the ad spend, just on ads agencies, literally in a 90, what am I saying? I was gonna say just over a 2-year period. So whatever, but yeah, so it's pretty painful. And then taking payment, I would take payment on the phone. I wouldn't send the link. So it would go Messenger onto a call, take the payment on the phone, then send a contract, have them sign the contract, and only once they've signed the contract, give them all their stuff, right? Very important. That's how it will go. E-sign as well. Don't waste time. And I'll put a link to all of like the different softwares that we use. I think it's on impact-school.com/resources, but I'll put a link as well. And so that kind of brings me on to my team, right? Because again, as I said earlier, I would outsource until I have enough revenue to hire in-house, and I'd ideally hire my business coach to be the one who I would outsource to, because they know the business. It's like they're not going to try and just like solve a problem with some sticky solution and charge a bunch of extra money. They'll go right to the root. And then hiring in-house, a lot of agencies, there's this problem where they don't have enough accountability. So with my team, I would give them way more accountability, way more clearly defined roles. And by the way, if before you ever hire like any team members, send me a message just saying the word team one, or just like say team one, because then I know that you've come from episode number 1 of this podcast and from the team. You don't have to say it like a weird robot. You can just say, hey Lauren, just listen to episode number 1 of the podcast. I'm sending you a message saying team, so that I can get access to that course about team building, because we have this whole course about team building, but we made a free version for people who are sort of like newer and want some support there, and it shows like the exact business structure that we use, how our accountability charts look, our org chart, like everything like that. It's very different to what you might think. So yeah, just drop me a message on any platform. Because finally, I mean, again, you see me now with all these freebies and everything, but like I would not start with that. It would be very simple. I would scale my organic, so AKA my outbound marketing. I would make sure that all my social media platforms are optimized, so I don't look like a right weirdo when I'm reaching out to people. And I'd probably post on social like every couple days, but I'd be reaching out to hundreds of people a day. I'd be on LinkedIn, I'd be doing it on Instagram, on Facebook. I think it's important to really start with one platform. I would start with one. So for me, I'd start with LinkedIn. If I was in a B2B space, if I was like a fitness coach or a relationship coach, I'd probably start on, well, it depends on the niche, but if you're helping business owners, then, you know, go on LinkedIn. But if you're helping like, you know, moms, then you probably would want to go in Facebook groups. If you're helping like sort of younger people, Instagram, you know? And so it kind of depends. Just pick one, do outreach on that. And so if I say Facebook, I kind of mean Facebook groups, by the way, because if you're just adding randomers, like that's kind of weird. Very weird, actually. You'll probably get blocked. But I would keep all my profiles as like my personal profiles. I wouldn't start creating like a bunch of different social media accounts. I'd keep it all the same because you never know who's already in your network. I would get a nice cover made by using, I just go on canva.com, just get it done, or just pay someone like a few bucks to get it done. So that when you're reaching out, it doesn't look weird. And then after that, get people into Messenger, because then we can go through permission-based relationship marketing, follow a structured approach. So we call it the money-making messaging method at Impact School, because essentially it's that permission-based approach rather than just like hounding people in the Messenger. And then from there, it's get them on a call. And don't follow some weird salesy script. Just have a genuine conversation, right? And obviously you want to be studying sales, you want to be studying marketing, you want to be learning and growing and developing every single day. But rather than trying to piece everything together, I used to buy all these courses all the time, listen to all these podcasts and stuff. And again, like, you're probably going to think, yeah, well, of course you're going to say that because like that's what you do. But you know, I wish I had hired a coach sooner. It's kind of like if whatever journey you're on. So if you're a fitness industry, or if you help people using LinkedIn, or if you help people, you know, find love, like imagine if you had hired a coach when you were first starting out rather than having to go through all that struggle and hardship. And for sure, there's a lesson in everything. And I think when it comes to fitness and stuff, it can be good to go through those difficult times. But I just think about when I was going through all that, and it's like, I kind of like sacrificed my health. So that's what you can use for your clients. It's like, yeah, well, you know, I know all this stuff, you don't have to go through it, whatever. I'm on a sidetrack, but like, it's just so true. I mean, I wish I had invested into like a actual solution with proven track record, actual proper client testimonials of people that were like me. I would have spoken to those clients. I'd hired some people and I just got ripped off, and then I hired agencies because I wanted solutions, and it just wasn't, you know. So that's why with everything that I know now in my mind, it's like through all that experience, I would build exactly what I would have wanted to not have to have gone through all of that. And I wouldn't have put so many limits on myself. I mean, I used to think, wow, like I can't wait to have a 6-figure income. And then it would be like, wow, I mean, oh my gosh, like 100 grand a month, that seems way too big. And again, this is financially, but I also used to think like, oh my gosh, imagine having a team of 5 people working for me. It sounded so far off. But it is unbelievable how much you can actually achieve. And so it's that self-doubt. And people always talk about imposter syndrome. I don't know if it was really that for me. I think it's just like self-doubt. In my report cards from school, it would always say Lauren could be really good if she applied herself and didn't doubt herself so much. And so it's like that constant second guessing. And so I think that's where it's super valuable to have a coach or a mentor, so that you know that you are doing things right. Because ultimately, as the business owner, you are the bottleneck. You're going to be the one that holds everything back. And so that mindset piece is huge. And so that's what I would do if I was starting over again from scratch. There's so much more to it, right? And I need to drink some water, I need some food, because that was a lot. But these next 10 episodes are going to go into more depth. And remember, you can go to impactschoolmba.com to get a free course on this. But if you don't already have that all dialed in as to everything that I already mentioned, and you're not already at a consistent 20K per month, then dial all of that stuff in before trying to do anything else. Again, this is my experience. This is knowing everything and all my friends, and absolutely just because most of my friends now are entrepreneurs, because I'm very careful about who I surround myself with. It's just all of these things are, and another thing that I would do is like, realize that I don't know better. I would always think, oh yeah, well, I'm different. I would think, yeah, well, I'm different because, you know, this, and this. Or I'm different. No. It's just your ego talking, and it can be really, really difficult because even if you're not like an egotistical person, it's just your ego showing up in a different way. And yeah, I mean, you're not different, you're not special, and I'm gonna give you that tough love if that's what you need. And so I really, really wish I knew all this when I was starting, but I'm grateful that I've been through it so that now you don't have to. And so you may be thinking right now, yeah, well, I want to go through all that difficulty trying to figure it all out for myself so that I can feel proud of it, right? But at the end of the day, would you rather feel proud for trying to figure out a business for yourself, or feel proud because you're able to serve so many clients, start building generational wealth for yourself and for your family, and also be able to provide for people right now? I mean, it's the choice. And only one of them is gonna have the interest of other people. The other one has self-interest. And when I realized that, that was a huge wake-up call to me, because I'm one of these people where I always want to figure it out and I want to know everything about everything. And that is a great mindset to have, but it can be a burden as well. And oftentimes your greatest strengths can be your greatest weakness. And another thing is that the strength of the leader can be the weakness of the team. So there are a couple things to remember, and also simple things like, you know, I wish I had started journaling sooner. Every single morning I journal my top 3 things that I need to do that day. And then I also write at the top, I will look back at today and be proud that and then I write 3 core things. And then one of those things that I write is that I give my all to all that I do. And then I list different components, for example, team, clients, relationship, calls, training, nutrition, pausing before acting. And I put like this little box which says like number out of 10. And then in the evenings, I come back and score myself. And in the evenings, I write what I'm grateful for, 3 things I did well, 1 thing that I can work towards, and kind of just like an overall. And then I have my team do a similar thing to hold them accountable. And so look, there's so much I could talk about. Make sure that you've hit subscribe. I hope this has been helpful. If you are interested in getting help from us when it comes to scaling your business, then just send me a message saying scale. I'll also leave a link to book a call on our calendar. But if not, then no stress. You know, everyone needs to figure things out. Like, there's a right moment for everything. And if this is that moment for you, then I am so excited. If this isn't that moment for you, then, you know, you just aren't yet at a stage where you're able to accept what life has to offer. And I don't mean that in like a weird kind of like pressury way. I just mean that when I was like 3 years ago, it wasn't the moment for me to have the business to the level where I have it, right? I would constantly self-sabotage and anything that, and this is subconscious. A great example is like spirituality. I used to think it was really weird, whereas now I'm like talking about energy and I'm talking about like timing and all that type of stuff. And so essentially, if you don't feel ready, you need to look at the symptom of that. Why don't you feel ready? What's going on in your life that is preventing you from wanting to get to that next level? Always go 1 layer deeper, peel back the onion, and realize that if you're not able to accept an idea, this is huge. This is huge. Everything that I just said, whether it's a high ticket offer, you know, you don't think that you can charge enough, or whether it's getting coaching, or whether it's whatever it is, quitting your job. Realize that the reason why you're just like in denial of that or just like shutting it down is because you're not at the level of energy, right, and the mindset to be able to accept that. And this podcast is not going to be like all spiritual and stuff, but there are a few important things that I just want to get you thinking, okay? So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already tuned into the last mini episode, it was kind of just like episode 0. That was the only thing that was like left of my podcast. Really weird. Like if you're going to delete a podcast, delete the whole thing. I don't know, very strange. But you can sort of hear about how this episode, like how everything's going to be sort of panning out, you know, what we're going to be talking about and all that. And yeah, I'm super excited, and I can't wait to share more of my lessons and journey with you. One series that I'm going to be doing after this first one is discussing, you know, the different sticking points of revenue in your business, you know, 0 to 2K and then 2K to 5K and whatever, and how to get over them. So even if you're not there right now, you can start future pacing and identifying, okay, what's going to be coming up, how can I prevent it and pre-handle it now so that my transition can be smoother. Because ultimately, I just want to help you scale your business, have that freedom. I'm recording this from an incredible apartment here in Dubai right now, and I'm just grateful that I get to serve you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, by the way, tell a friend about this who this might be useful for, because that's the way to get podcasts growing. It's like telling one friend. So if you could just tell one friend, I'm not going to put any ads on these podcasts. Yeah, so if just tell one friend who this could be useful for, I would be so grateful. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.